Thank you for joining us today. This is Ravi Chandran, CTO of XtremeData, and it's exciting to be able to present to you a solution on Rackspace Cloud that sits exactly at the nexus of the three biggest movements in the IT industry today. These are, of course, the cloud, big data, and analytics. So in the next 6-7 minutes or so, we'll show you a quick overview of the big data analytics landscape, where we fit, what are the strengths of our product, and how it meshes extremely well with the offerings on Rackspace Cloud. So let's get started. A very quick overview of the big data analytics solution space. And the data doesn't necessarily flow as these arrows seem to indicate, but certainly as you go from the left to the right, the size of the data is being reduced, and also it goes from loosely structured or unstructured data to much more structured data as you go from the left to the right. So Hadoop and NoSQL solutions sit here on the left-hand side. Over on the other side, on the right-hand side, when the data has been sufficiently reduced to something that's typically read-only, then there are specialized reporting tools that operate in this domain. So where we fit is in between, where there is a market need for a parallel SQL engine that can do the data-intensive data warehouse, data exploration, all those processes that lets you explore data and get insights. And that's the domain where we play in. Our product offering, in a very quick summary, leverages the offerings on the Rackspace Cloud. Of course, the machines, high-speed network, and the object store. As you'll see shortly in the demonstration, we leverage all of these features in a very effective way. So what our platform is a cloud scale analytics platform with support for the entire SQL ecosystem of ETL tools, BI tools, visualization, so on and so forth. So it's on-demand spin-up, high-speed data ingest, querying across multiple large data sets, as we'll demonstrate, and load and go. So as we show in this demo, there's no tuning, no DBA work involved. You can load your data and start querying it. So the demonstration itself that we typically show to customers is something that occurs in under 10 minutes. And the steps involved are, starting from scratch, you first spin up an n node cluster. In this case, it's a 4-node cluster on Rackspace. As soon as it's spun up, we create a database and then populate that database with data that's been pre-staged in the object store. And this, in this particular case, consists of stock market data. It's 236 compressed files that are staged on the object store in the Rackspace Cloud. And what we do is spin up this cluster and populate the database. And as you'll see, it ends up as 5 large tables in the database with over 6.6 billion records. And all of this occurs in less than 10 minutes. So the data itself is stock market data, and it consists of quotes, orders, cancellations, etc. And the volume is pretty significant. It's over 4 days of data is about 1 terabyte and 6.6 billion rows. This is stock market data, but the same thing applies to many other market domains. For example, online advertising, fraud detection, Internet of Things or smart meters, network security. All of them have similar types and streams of data. So the first step is to deploy a cluster. Now on Rackspace, this is made extremely easy. There is a create stack which uses templates that have been pre-configured. So we have done exactly that. And once you pick that template, You only have to answer some very simple questions, like the kind of nodes, how many nodes you want, and you press the create stack button, and it takes a few minutes and it's up and running. So once it is running, we can log in and look at the data. Uh, in this case, the screenshot that you're seeing here is from the Linux login to our head node, and it's a summary of what occurred during the load process. So there's a lot of data here, but very quickly, the key points are it loaded over a terabyte of data in the database, 6.6 billion rows across 5 tables, these 5 tables listed up here. And it did this entire process in under 8 minutes, 474 seconds. So we also supply a web browser-based admin tool that you can use to log in from anywhere. And uh, in this case, we're logging into that Rackspace cluster. You can see these 5 tables that were loaded in. And this GUI lets you manage the entire database, monitor activity, and also if you click this SQL button here, it brings up a window where you can paste, type, supply your SQL queries, and get the results back. So this is a screenshot of that SQL query window. You can see it, some query was run. These are the result. It shows the time that it took, about a minute in this case, and here are the results. So we can quickly look at some of the queries, and again, I don't want to bore you with the details of the SQL, but other than to point out that these are typical queries that are run. In this case, you can see this query joins across 3 very large tables, all of them over a billion rows, and the biggest one being 2.8 billion. And we have a few such queries that we have run. Now, as a comparison versus Amazon Redshift, just to compare the underlying hardware infrastructure, what you see is the on-metal I/O on Rackspace is very, very close to what this particular configuration on Redshift that we ran this benchmark on. So the only difference really is the memory. The Rackspace servers have about half the memory of Redshift. It's a little bit of a disadvantage, but as you'll see in the results, it doesn't matter much. So quickly to go through the results. So the load timing, as we showed, was under 8 minutes in our case, much, much longer in the case of Redshift. You can see how dramatic it is. And same for the queries. We ran these 5 queries, and as you can see across the spectrum, the Rackspace system did significantly better than Redshift. Thank you again for joining. That was a very quick overview of our offering. And anyone with any questions, feel free to email me at the email address shown on the screen. Thank you again.